before I got my first job, I had never paid for a course. All right.
It was a dangerous place to work.
So choose something you're interested in the tech industry and focus on that thing.
I did not ever envision my future in tech. If you were late, you'd get shot down. Like,
I used to want to do many things at the same time because I do have the skills of like electronics and web development and desktop development and mobile development, and I used to want to, do everything at the same time.
what is the best career advice that you've received so far? Hi guys, and welcome to the first of many discussions that I will be having with a lot of tech professionals. And most importantly, it is to help you guys to venture into tech and transition into a role that you have been dreaming of. So today I will be sitting down with a software developer, and he's got a lot of experience, a wealth of knowledge, and he's just going to tell us a bit about himself and how he got into tech and how you can get into tech yourself. Welcome to the first official episode and first guest as well, Ife. Thank you for joining me.
Nice to be here.
So these are just going to be conversations on tech and what we are, and as a tech ecosystem, and how people can get into tech as well, because it's not that scary. But people think it's like the most scariest thing ever. Yeah. But we're going to make it accessible. So who are you, and what makes Ife?
Okay. My name is Ife. I've been in software for a while now. I'll say probably maybe 5-6 years thereabouts. I've been coding longer than that. So I've been a person who's just been into technology, just experimenting with different types of technology, electronics, software, just as childhood kind of thing. I would say what makes me tick is I am very experimental. I'm very inquisitive. I'm very adventurous as well. So apart from tech, there are all the things I'm interested in and I do. Like the instruments, I like to go hiking, traveling, anything that I think is interesting and I can do, I will go ahead and do it. I'm just a very, I'll say I'm a well-rounded person. So I do a lot of things. So I would say that's me. I'm very approachable. I'm not someone you can't talk to. I'll make friends easily. I think I like to say that if I say so myself. It's
really interesting you say that, because a lot of people because you're a software developer,
yes,
a senior software developer, and a lot of people have such predefined ideas of what software developer is. And some of those things is they're introverts, they just code all the time. But you're like, I play instruments, I like to go hiking, you're very sociable, that kind of thing. You're very approachable. And it's really good to have that kind of, a view of a senior developer who has like a very well-rounded, balanced lifestyle as well.
I think part of that image people have about software developers, I think it mostly comes from the media, and I think there is merit to it in terms of the origin. So I know, like, let's say in the 90s, for example, the office culture wasn't as it is today. So there was this image of people who would just be behind cubicles, coding all day, wearing suits, introverts, with some different terms we use, we call them basement monkeys, for example, just like just code monkeys, just like coding all day, don't talk to anyone, can't see the faces. But things are starting to change, or they've been changed for a very long time now, where people cannot go into work, you can wear your jeans to work, you have to wear a suit and tie. There's more of an emphasis on the culture. So when you're applying for jobs, usually people the recruiters usually ask you what kind of culture fit are you looking for, and also the people the companies themselves will ask you, this is the kind of culture, we fast paced, we do this, and I like to have fun, da, da, da. So they want to make sure you actually fit the culture as well, as part of the acceptance criteria. So it is important, and you do meet a lot of very interesting people in the workplace. People who do all sorts of different things. So people who like baking. I've always found the tech industry to be really fun and never boring. To be honest, it's just maybe because I'm in it, but I can understand from the outside you might think you're a software developer, you can't really you don't know how to socialize, but that isn't really the case a lot of the time.
And you know what? I found that because I am not a tech personality. Like when people meet me, they just would never anticipate that I'm in tech. But I find that even if you feel like you're not going to fit into tech, it's so good to just bring your personality, because you actually spice up the workplace as well with your energy. Because I remember I joined a company and I became a culture commander. They literally said, "Oh, we want you to plan the events. We want you to, bring your energy. We want you to be the sociable person that you are." And because everybody else wasn't, they were like, "We love this about you." And, I stayed in that place and I was really happy. And they kind of like celebrated my traits that were different, that were not just like the tech.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. If you were trying to blend in, they wouldn't have found that uniqueness in your character traits. It would, So it is good. I think a lot of people as well, they going into the office, maybe they see people all quiet. They might try to fit in. They don't want to be that different person, no one who's different. But you don't have to be like obnoxious. You can still be yourself, bring personality to the workplace by and people love you for it as well.
Do you know what? My favorite place that I've ever worked had Nerf guns in the office.
Nice.
Have you had that in the office before?
I don't think so. We've had other things like PlayStations, Nintendo Switches, pool tables. But not the Nerf, but that one would be.
It was a dangerous place to work. So
you're saying anytime
you could get it. So basically, if you were late, you'd get shot down. Like if anything was happening.
Oh, that sounds fun.
It was bad. I remember one time, and because I was so loud, and like I said, that was where I was like the bubbly person. Because I was so loud, I was always a target. I'd always find enemies. Like somebody would always come for me.
So if they haven't heard your voice for like at 9 a.m. and they heard it at 9:15, oh, she's here now.
She's here. Like let's get ready. But yeah, I think that was really fun for us to just kind of have that chilledness about the office. Like sometimes there'll be like a full-on war going on in the office, like to that side. And I loved it, like absolutely loved it. And those are the kinds of environments that you find in tech that is just so relaxed, and like you say, some of the culture that is there is a lot more relaxed than people can anticipate. When you're not in tech, you think, oh my God, it's going to be so boring, but it really isn't, is it? Like some companies are.
Yeah, well, I think there will be some companies that are very, very, not fun.
Yeah, but it's the culture, like you said.
Yes.
Yeah, you need to vet it.
You'll find that I think those will tend to be usually bigger companies tend to be like that. Some bigger companies are not, like, for example, Google, does have a reputation for not being that stereotypical kind of like, strict work environment. People, you can have fun there. They take care of their employees pretty well. Places I've worked at as well, the same thing. I want to say that I haven't actually worked in a company I would say is boring. They've all been really interesting in my opinion. So I don't know, maybe that says more about maybe my luck or the actual industry.
Or your personality. Because sometimes as well, it is like if you're open to certain challenges all the time and you look at something as a good challenge rather than, oh my God, I don't want to do this. So maybe that's more to do with your personality. Yeah, and your ability to approach new challenges. Yeah,
that's true. I think you are right with that, because place I've worked at previously as well. Well, when it comes to greenfield projects, so greenfield project is projects where you are building everything from scratch. You're not maintaining legacy code or working on already existing app. So greenfield, you have a lot of opportunity to express yourself in the where you write code in the processes, the planning, how you set up the pipelines, how you want the other developers to work. So there is that sort of things is really interesting. Because when you do these things, you have the opportunity to change things. So you've learned from past experiences what worked, what didn't work. You can build upon that. So I think if someone in tech who is not afraid of responsibility actually enjoys it and wants to actually change things for the better, you will find a lot of the opportunity in the workplace. I think you that's kind of person that will enjoy, a lot of the work environments.
So could you tell us in a very short overview of what actually got you into tech from the beginning? Because we've heard about how you are as a person, what you do now, and how you find workplaces and challenges, greenfield projects, things like that. But what actually got you into a software development career? And walk us through that journey, your thought process of deciding this is the career for me. And when you did get into it, what made you think, yeah, I'm going to stay here? Or are you going to stay here?
Oh, definitely going to stay here. I used to actually want to be an airline pilot when I was a kid. So my story is not one of I always wanted to do this. But as soon as I got older, I think it was about the age of 7 or so, thereabouts, I started to get familiar with computers, the hardware, and I didn't know anything about software at that time. I remember we used to have this beige computer, I think Windows 95, 98, something like that. But the rest, something went wrong. I used to have, there was someone who was a close family friend he was into computers. As a kid, I just used to see him fix stuff, and that just intrigued me as to what's going on there. Why is this working that way? That kind of thing. And then there's over time, I think I had another lady who actually got me into, I won't say got me into, but showed me some tricks. In school, we had to do some assignments, and I like to make my things look good. So I had some word art that she taught me how to use, and that got me into the word art, just how to use the different user interfaces, the Microsoft Office Word. Also with Excel, I have really got input from different people, and that just got me going. And then from then on, getting access to the family computer, we upgraded the family computer. I was able to delve more. I just became more curious. Why, when I clicked this button, why does this thing move that way? What's going on? I remember distinctly. I think it was the first time I saw, which doesn't exist anymore, marquee, a text that moves across the screen, across the web browser. I was like, how does that work? How do you make that? And then it's all just this little things that kind of got me more and more interested. What actually kicked it off for me, I believe, is when I was in secondary school, and I had a friend of mine who was more advanced than me in the technology space. So he knew how to create websites and whatnot. I knew nothing about that. So I would just watch him. He would teach me some things, and I learned from then on. So I just started using Dreamweaver, which was, I would say, it was a mistake, because Dreamweaver, thinking back at it, it was a lot of boilerplate. It was just a lot of, it was, looking back at it, I would never use Dreamweaver anymore. I don't think it exists anymore, but using that just got me on that. Okay, so then you code, and I used to write HTML on a piece of paper. I will write down all the tags I can remember, the table tags, texts,
Wow.
H1. I'll just write everything, what it meant, what it did. Just trying to memorize everything. Turns out I didn't actually need to memorize. We can probably get to that later, but I didn't need to memorize everything. You just, as you program more and more, you get
used to it.
You just get used to it. Yeah, exactly. And then I used some of that knowledge to actually help me in college and in university, because I already knew how to write in Java before I got into university. So that helped me, just move things along much quicker for me. I was more adept at, Java. And then I actually learned JavaScript first and then Java. So I just got the ball rolling. That's how I kind of got into this. So I just knew from I think it was from high school time, that I really wanted to go with something to do with software.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. So you're really different to me, because I did not ever envision my future in tech. ever.
You say like it's like you look at it like in a negative light at first, or is it a surprise to you? Like how did it?
I never saw it as a negative thing, but I saw it as it's not me. I never saw it as, that's not my personality. I'm a creative. I'm like an ICT, or I remember we did those kind of like, we used to turn each other's computers off.
Wait, with the, like physically? Or with
we'd just turn it off. We used to just like, we used to mess about. Yeah, like if someone is distracted, you like turn their computer off, and then they turn around, they're like, "Oh, my computer's gone." So that's what we found fun in IT. Yeah. I never really thought, "Oh, let me get to know this." And if I'm honest, it was like probably when I started getting a bit older, and people were like, "Oh, tech is the new future." Yeah. And I was like, "Oh, like." I'm going to be a singer, or I'm going to be...
Oh, you wanted to do that as a professional, like singing?
Yeah, I wanted to do everything creative. Yeah. Like, I either wanted to be a singer or... So if my 16-year-old self could have chosen a future, it would have definitely been a singer or something creative. So media related. So something like videography, doing documentaries, if I'm honest. I really like things like this, talking to people and being very creative. Like that is my natural state of happiness. Yeah. I like to create things. So with IT, I just thought, this is really boring. Like you go into class and we were just like, I think there was nothing fun being taught back when I was in school. So they didn't really teach us programming languages.
Oh, that's right. There wasn't any such thing. Yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't anything like that. Whereas now, maybe in school, I'd be a bit like, oh, let me learn how to, create a website. Yeah. Because if somebody said to you, we're going to create a website, I'd be like, oh, cool. Exactly. I want to do this because I am creative. So I'd probably have been a different person in tech because I would have learned how to actually do what you're doing, maybe create it, or maybe be a UX UI designer or something like that. Because maybe those skills would have been challenged a bit more from youth, whereas I got into it when I was older. So I don't know, it was a bit different for me. Whereas like you talked about a friend being in software development, right? Or someone who could have taught you a few things. And I didn't really have anyone introduce me to anything. It was just very boring, like basic IT classes. Yeah.
I mean, in school, so IT classes I agree, it was boring. I remember we had a lot of the lessons had to do just like creating new folders, putting things in there, PowerPoint. I found that boring.
Yeah.
That wasn't, so it was in that time, myself and this other friend that I'm talking about, because that's boring. We'll be doing other things. Like, after you create this, and he'll do something else, something similar. He will teach me some things. We were both in the same class, but he had that knowledge. So it was in that state. But to be fair, the school I actually went to, we had a teacher who took his time to actually attempt to teach us Java.
Okay.
Right. I think we only had like 3 sessions of those because not many people turned up, but he kind of thought it not to be worth his time kind of thing. But the fact that he started that, like also added to that
inquisitive
that
nature,
pile that actually maybe I like how this works. Let me go learn on my own.
Right.
So a lot of my learning, I would say, as well as the people who've been in my life who's actually introduced me to things here and there, a lot of the bulk of my learning has actually been self.
Yeah, that's why I say we're very different. Yeah, because I think for me, it's just like I find it like easier not to just go and do all these things, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I find it easier when people give me an idea of like, oh, what if we do this, or what if we do that? I'm a bit more led kind of learning rather than self-learning.
I see. Yeah.
So if I actually want to get into tech and I haven't had any interest in tech before, I've not even dreamt about it, I've not even thought about it one bit, how do I position myself to be successful as a software developer? Because now I'm interested in it, but I'm an adult and I haven't had that background you have had. What are the best steps that I can take right now as a beginner, as an adult who's had a different career, and I'm a bit like, where do I start as a software developer? Like, what are the key things that I should do, like as a starter pack?
Okay. First, I would say, because I believe in that line you said you've had no interest. I'm gonna say you do need a level of interest to get into this and to sustain yourself in this, because there is a lot of work it takes to be good at what you do, software development wise. And if you don't have that passion, that interest, you will give up along the way. You will just reach the surface level. You won't be able to maybe go as advanced as you could go if you had that passion. So the first thing I would say is you should want that. You should have that passion at first, and the passion shouldn't be. I guess I could say to so the passion, if your passion is to make money because there is money in the industry, if that's motivating enough for you, I guess that could be enough. But I would say it should be real passion will take you further, I believe, right? And then also I would say one or two, so actually two things. You could pay for courses. There are plenty of resources out there, Udemy, some of the resources online that you could use. There's a plural site, that's another one. You could pay for courses, but before doing that, you have to identify what area you want to get into. So I'm going to be more specific. So to get into software development, let's say you want to know how to create websites, right? Then you would focus on the courses that have to do with website building. So you would need something like HTML, JavaScript, CSS. You probably get an introduction to HTML first, and then CSS. So CSS cascading style sheets. It's what allows you to design your website. You can add colors here. You can present to the user what you want them to see, the style of fonts, the color, the background. Oh, that's what CSS does. And then the JavaScript then comes in, which is what allows you to let your users interact with the web pages. So clicking buttons, what happens when you click the button? Also, just all the interactive form filling, that kind of thing, right? Just user interaction with the browser. That's the basic. So you could use courses for that, or you could use the vast array of videos and learning resources you have on YouTube. There are a lot of really nice YouTube channels you could go to that you can learn from. And you don't have to spend a dime on a course. I didn't actually spend a dime. Before I got my first job, I had never paid for a course. All right. And that's because I was just passionate about the learning process, and I had YouTube to help me out, and I was learning that way. I would actually watch tutorial videos while I was eating, so rather than watching TV or whatever, that's what I would do just to get myself up to scratch. And then once you're comfortable, then you can then go out and then build things, right? But I would say, yeah, so passion, and then find the resources to help you learn what you need in the specific instance of web development, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then once you're settled with that, then I would say you can then go into the more industry. You can go into the more industry style way of doing things. So using things like frameworks, as React, Vue, Angular, that kind of thing. That's what is really used in industry. So in industry, we don't use the pure HTML, CSS, JavaScript. It's all been abstracted into these libraries that we use to build websites. It makes us build things faster. Also, some decision making has already been made. So that's what I would say you should focus on. A lot of advice you hear is CSS, JavaScript, HTML, but while that's good, it's good to learn that first. But to work in the industry, you need to learn how to use these libraries. Like React is the most popular one. There are other ones that some argue are better, easier to develop, but like the Svelte, so Svelte, however that's pronounced, that you can use, but that's where you need to graduate into. And then from then on, once you're comfortable, it will help if you were able to build some sites. Maybe to help out, you could look at a site like, let's say, you can make like a clone of Instagram. It wouldn't be the full thing, but you can maybe make just the homepage of Instagram, so you just get an idea. So you have something to show prospective employers, right? So you have your GitHub where you host your code. So when you're applying for jobs, you can point your employers there. They can have a look at what you've done. Also look at the website when you've made it live. So they can see your website, see what you've done, see your skills. that will help you out. And you might ask the question, okay, so how about university? I'm already, I'm older than university age. Can I still do university? Yes, you can, but you wouldn't be at a significant advantage, because while it is good to go to university, right? And university does teach you certain things. It will depend. So if you were to do web development, if you went to university for that, I wouldn't say that would be the best way to go about it, because a lot of things you were learning in university, the computer science classes, don't necessarily apply to the area of web. It depends on what you're building. But for the most part, a lot of websites you see usually just text, videos, buttons, nothing too graphical. You're not creating your own data structures, right? You're not working directly with trees and graphs and all that, right? You are just creating a website for people to see. You're not doing anything more technical. So those things have been abstracted away from you. So
it's not a significant advantage to have degree.
It's not a significant. Yeah, it's not. Okay. So, but if you wanted to go with something like, let's say, data science or machine learning, then it will help. Then yes, you will be at an advantage in that area to go to university, because you will learn a lot more. It's a lot more technical skills you learn at university that can then be carried on into the workplace. So I would say, for the most part, a lot of people who do software development, they tend to do web development. So while web development can be complex as of what you're building, but for the most part, university will not give you a significant advantage.
Okay. So I guess for the person who has no idea of what your day-to-day is, what is a software developer's day-to-day schedule? What does that look like? What do you do generally 9 to 5, Monday to Friday? Do you work 9 to 5? What is your work schedule like?
I think you'll find, I'll start with the work schedule. You'll find in a lot of companies, your time is flexible to an extent, right? So myself, I tend to start working sometimes 8:30, sometimes 9. I can work to 5 or 5:30. Sometimes it's longer than that. Sometimes I actually work on Saturdays, right? So I'm not obliged to do so, but I just feel I need to get something done. I can do that. My day to day, which is what you find most of the time, is you get into work. A lot of companies have stand-ups, so meeting at the start of the day to bring everyone up to speed to what's going on, where everyone is, what they did yesterday, what they're going to do today, just bring everyone to speed. Some companies do it at 9 a.m. Some companies do it later in the afternoon. Maybe I guess people are more awake or something, but it does vary. Some actually don't do it at all. But most companies I find do have stand-ups. So
every company I've worked with do stand-ups. Yeah.
In the morning, or if you found
morning,
in the afternoon.
I've never found an afternoon. I wouldn't attend an afternoon stand-up because it's not a stand-up. A stand-up is traditionally at the beginning of the day.
Yeah. So the reason behind the stand-ups in the afternoon is you're more awake at that time, right? So I personally prefer the afternoon stand-ups.
Really?
Yeah, because I feel like I can get a lot more. I can get something done in the morning.
In the morning, yeah.
I'm not immediately coming into a meeting. I can get to work, start working on something, and then maybe
I find stand-ups usually force people to log in. You find like before stand-up, people are offline sometimes. Then you're like, where is everyone? And then stand-up, everyone's green.
Yeah. So it does exactly.
It helps.
And I can understand it will force you, but then you get the best out of people that way.
Yeah.
I mean, there are arguments that, if in the morning that you should wake up earlier and be already awake and all that. But I think I tend to agree with the argument of you've been working for a couple of hours, your brain has already been moving. You can maybe even update what you've been working on last night. At the start of you have some more time in the morning to add some more things before then presenting into the
I agree
in the afternoon, right?
I agree. I feel like you'd have more to talk about for the stand-up in the afternoon.
Yes. So stand-ups, and then a lot of my day-to-day just really comprises of the stand-ups, obviously. Then if I'm already working on something, I just continue to work on that. So we use a board. It depends on what you use. Some companies use Zero, some people use Jira. So that's like a project management software that you use to keep track of what's being done, what's going on, and also gives you an idea of the timeline as to when your sprint or your project is going to end. So a sprint, I don't know, sorry, we might have to cut this, but I don't know how detailed I need to go to.
Not too detailed, just a general overview, so that somebody can understand what they can anticipate. Literally a quick overview.
Okay.
Yeah.
So get into work, do the stand-ups a lot of the time in the morning. Get on your computer. If you're working from home, good. If you're working in the office, just get on the computer, start working. It is pretty chill. So you've not got someone looking over your shoulder all the time. So I'm just there working on bugs, introducing new features, working with other teammates. They might be working on something different, but at the end, or maybe we're working on something together. They might work on a particular feature in the same project, and then at the end of the day or the end of the sprint, but then merge things together. But it is pretty chill. So people usually are left to their own devices. You can do what you want, just sort of like development. As long as obviously you aren't blocking other members of the team. There's a lot of it's a high trust environment in the software development industry. That's pretty much it, I would say. So bug fixing, creating new features, making decisions. So maybe we need to create a new feature. We can discuss with the rest of the team of how do we do it. We want to do it this way. What are the advantages of doing it A versus B? Come to a consensus. We move on with that decision. And then life goes on. Really, it is fun. So that doesn't mean you're not doing anything, obviously, but you are working, really hard and should do.
I would say that software developers and software testers have a love-hate relationship, and it's like kind of cat and dog relationship.
You can say that. So I don't know if that might not be. Maybe like in a banter kind of way, like no, we don't
hate each other really.
But
I always feel some type of way of reporting a bug because sometimes I'm scared of what a developer's going to say, because 9 times out of 10 you guys just turn around and go, it's not a bug. And it's like, you've not even checked.
I've not had that experience.
Are you a good dev? Do you take it well?
I mean, yes, I do actually, because first of all, it's something that I can understand how some devs might take it well, because you've worked hard on something, and then here somebody's telling you that it's broken. That's like, it's because you're not working for yourself. You're working for a company,
a team,
a team, right? Yeah. So it does help to take those bug reports, seriously, and then assign time to fix them. So I think a lot of the reason why devs are kind of like going to be fight back against it is because they try to push it down the line. And okay, this is not, we're working on something different now. We don't want to get on this bug now, because if we do, it might delay our delivery. So that might maybe rub some developers the wrong way, but in a good company, it will be handled well. There will be a triage process where you maybe have some devs who maybe have this downtime, and they can pick those bugs up while you're still working on what you're working on.
Yeah.
And then that just helps streamline things a bit more. But testing is important. It does help make sure that obviously that down the line, when you deliver something, the number of bugs is near zero. There is nothing such as a bug-free code base. There will always be some bugs.
It's never going to exist.
No matter how minor, right?
Yeah.
But it's all about, I guess, the severity of the bug and how quick it will take to fix. So that will obviously depend on how your code infrastructure is. That affects the speed of fixing bugs. So yeah, but testing it really is important.
Oh, I love to hear a developer say testing is important. That makes me happy. Yeah. And one thing that I would say is, if people are going to be like new developers, they need to be so open to like criticism and just constructive criticism, because sometimes people like myself, obviously being a software tester, I tell people, oh, maybe we could improve on this or that. And especially when you're quite junior, I found I didn't like criticism. I found it really difficult to receive, actually, because I don't want someone to tell me I'm bad at my job. But it's literally like with tech, it's one of those things you realize we have one goal, and that is to create a good product. Yeah. So sometimes at the beginning, it does feel like an attack, because especially if you've not worked in an environment where you've not been ever told like, oh, this is good or this is bad, or we need to improve on this or that. But I think remembering the bigger picture is to deliver a good quality product. I think is so important, and just making it less personal and making it more about the process and making it more about the final product, really. Yeah.
Oh yes, the criticism you said you received when you first started, was it personal, or did you find that, maybe you just took it that way, or was it more constructive, or?
It wasn't personal at all.
Okay.
I'm just a very emotional person. So if I get like, oh, maybe you could write this bug a bit clearer, like this bug doesn't make any sense, or even if a developer comes back to say this is not a bug because you're doing it wrong, or you're not actually executing the software the right way, or maybe you're, I don't know, like let's say just feedback of like, oh, this is actually not a bug, and then having that discussion that's not heated or backed up with emotion, just kind of like, okay, let's understand where you're coming from and let's understand where I'm coming from. Because 9 times out of 10, like the longer I've had in the software development world, it's just a misunderstanding. So sometimes the developer just doesn't understand your definition of the bug, and sometimes you don't understand the definition of his it's not a bug. So you have to sit there, no matter how long it takes, until you both are literally on the same page. Like, okay, I click here, then I do this, then I see this. Is this the right thing? And then if you think it's the right thing and I think it's not the right thing, then it's just a matter of, okay, that's fine. We'll escalate it to the right people who need to decide whether this is a bug or not. And then that way, it's not like I'm doing a terrible job and, every time my bugs are getting pushed back, and it's not a bad thing at all. It's just like, let's just have more conversations and let's understand why these things could be a deviation of the expected behavior, and then maybe getting product owners involved or business analysts or whoever needs to be involved in the conversation to then put the stamp on the, on the final decision of like, no, it's not a bug, or yes, it is a bug. And then the developer's like, I'll fix nothing. It's not a bug, that kind of thing. So yeah, I think it's just now that I've been in the industry more, I see developers as more like just, I love to just have those conversations and learn from you guys. You guys are so smart. Like, you're really good, like with the code and everything. And I think it's really good to, I always refer to software developers as like the building people, like when you're building a house, you're like the bricklayers. You understand every little bit of like what's going into the kind of like bigger picture. So it's really important to have those like deeper conversations with you guys. So the last thing I'd want to ask is, what is the best career advice that you've received so far?
Best career advice I've ever received. Specialize, right? So that's what that's had the most impact on me. Advice to specialize, because I used to want to do many things at the same time, because I do have the skills of like electronics and web developments and desktop development and mobile development, and I used to want to, do everything at the same time, and that will not that wouldn't come to work well for you when it comes to applying for roles, because usually companies, when they come into a developer to colleagues who work for them, they're usually looking for a particular skill. But at least they see like a mixture of, maybe you've done electronics, you've done web there, you've done mobile there. It's like they don't know the extent to which you have if they were a project for web, for example, you can only see that you touched on web for like a year, for example, and the other ones, it's a year in every web, mobile 1 year, electronics 1 year. They don't know exactly what your specialty is or how good you will be at what they need you for. So, and also when you specialize, it also helps in terms of your earnings as well, because the more you specialize in something, the better you will get at it, and it will show in your skills, right? What the world has to see about what you've done, it will show up. So it helps to specialize. That helps you in your career, your employability as well. That helps out, and your earning potential. So choose something you're interested in the tech industry, and focus on that thing. If you want to change, I would say, you can maybe work in that, specialize for, let's say, 5-6 years, and then you can switch to something else if you want to, but you need to specialize, and that will, that will put you in an advantageous position.
So where do you see the software development world going? What should people anticipate that will be the bigger thing in the next 5 to 10 years? And maybe if somebody wants to choose something to specialize in right now, what would you advise that to be? I mean, I'm always about the money. So where are we making the big money in the next 5 to 10 years?
The way things are going now in the age of AI is actually artificial intelligence. So now there will be still the software development industry that will still exist. There will still be web developers. They will still exist. But I would say if your number one priority is making an impact, and also maybe you're having very high earning potential, where the money will be, is right now, is in the machine learning industry. So data science, AI, that's where it is now, and that's where it will be for a long time. So things have been shifting slowly towards that direction. So it is important to, I know some people might ignore the existence of AI, or maybe not want to use it. I have come across some developers who say they don't want to use AI because it might make them it might nerf their skill, because they might rely on AI too much to generate things for them. But as a developer, you do need to embrace the use of AI in your workplace, in your environment. It will help you work much faster, which will make you more valuable in the future to employers. So it is important to take that side seriously. But yeah, there is this fear around AI taking the jobs of several industries. It is a serious threat. It is a threat. But not that big of a threat, if I'm being honest, right? Because you will still need developers to write websites, to build products, desktop software, the electronics in your cars, to be the infotainment systems. AI will just help aid in that process, right? Aid in the speed of developments. So I don't think we should be afraid about AI taking that on. The only time I would say you should be afraid is when we reach what we call artificial general intelligence, which is where we have artificial general intelligence, which is where we have AI smarter than human beings. But then that's where I think we can start,
Is that soon?
I don't think it's anytime soon, to be honest.
Okay.
I mean, there is ongoing work to make that a reality, but no.
Can you developers not, please? Like, because it's you people that are creating these AI things. Like, we don't even know what you're doing. Like, as a department of development, why are you doing this?
Because it makes life better, right? So first of all, AI does help enhance our lifestyles. So let's say, for example, you want to know how a particular medicine is going to affect a human. And you don't want to conduct human tests on a newly developed drug. It will help speed up that process if you can have AI be able to simulate how it would affect the human body, as opposed to using an actual human for testing. The same for animals as well. If you like animal testing, so it does help enhance our lives. It helps make our life easier. It helps just make it more convenient. With the release of the new Apple OS now, with the integration of AI into the phones, you can generate new emojis. You can ask AI to translate live for you, a phone call or a live conversation. You can find out a lot more. It can actually help you learn as well. So if you're in university, you can actually use AI to help you learn your course, for example, right? Obviously, at the moment now, it's not all perfect. You still have to cross-check your work, because AI can hallucinate. It can tell you lies and be confident in the lie it's telling you. So you have to be aware about that. But the goal is just to enhance humanity. And the downside of that is, it can be used for bad. But also, if let's say in the West, for example, if we don't develop using AI, we'll have other countries, enemy countries, for example, that they will do it, and they will be unethical, and they will get ahead. And it's a question of, do you want so-called bad guys to be ahead of you, or do you also want to develop at the same pace as them so you can maybe counter their development? It is a complex area. They can get into the ethics of AI as well, but yeah, it can sound scary, but at the same time, it is exciting.
It is.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things. It's like the internet when it first came.
Yeah.
Everybody was afraid of it. And now a lot of people are afraid of AI, including myself.
Yeah.
I do question it a lot.
Yeah,
I do question where we're going with AI. So let's hope it's not going to destroy the world.
I think if it brings you any form of comfort. So AI right now, say with ChatGPT, which is the most popular one out there, there are all the other models out there. But with ChatGPT, all it is it's based on its knowledge base. All it's doing when you ask it a question is it's predicting the next word it thinks should come, or the next letter rather. You can call it word letter. You just predict the next letter, right? It's a language model. It just predicts the next letter word it thinks will be the most reasonable to come after an initial letter, or after you've given it a question. That's all it is. That's why you can ask it a question. It can respond to you in the manner you think is, oh, that's actually, it can sound true. It can sound authentic. Then you go look at the data, or you look at the actual fact, and it's wrong. So it's because sometimes, obviously, it has its shortcomings, right? It can fail in that area. It can say something that might sound true, but is actually untrue. It can generate links for you. So maybe you want to, like, as a developer, I might want to find out where the documentation for a particular library I'm using is at, and I can ask ChatGPT. And it's happened to me before. It's giving me a link that doesn't exist, but it's telling me, yeah, you can find this here. Like, no, it's not there. So it's not as smart as humans yet.
I try to use ChatGPT to help me with like my coding and stuff. It doesn't help. I get more confused after. So maybe I need to get some of your tips in terms of that, because it's so much more confusing for me. So maybe I need to also understand how to use it.
Yeah, I think so. I think it does help in terms of code is one of the areas ChatGPT is actually good at.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's obviously not the best, but it's really good at writing code. You still have to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Prompt it in the right direction, know when it's done something wrong that you can fix.
Okay.
You can fix your errors as well, but it helps to know what you're doing first and then use it to enhance what you're doing.
Okay.
And also you can even learn a new programming language that way as well. But it is a good resource, a good way to learn as well. But as long as you're aware of its limits, so it's not smarter than you. So I don't think it's time to be afraid of AI. Well, I do understand people's concerns about it, but it's not that bad at the moment.
So the top tip right now is, as a new developer, get into a specialized industry, ideally AI, for the big bucks.
For the big bucks, yes.
Okay.
For the fun of things, you can do all the things. You can write games, you can build websites, you can make apps, for iOS, Android. But if your goal is to make money, and the top money, data science, AI, machine learning is where it's at. So you need to touch it. Math is important, statistics, that kind of thing. So if you're into that and that's your passion, then you will be able to do well in that industry.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm going to round up. Did you have anything else to add to maybe advice somebody who's kind of going into this industry as a new software developer? Anything we've not touched on that you think is important?
Okay. I would say the one thing I think some new developers have is they think when you're coding, you have to memorize all the keywords when you're writing code. You don't. I would say what would make you a better developer is learning how to read the documentation. So if you can read the docs for, let's say, Java, and use maybe a library, maybe you want to build a video player, right? You don't know where to start. Maybe you don't even know Java. Maybe you do know Java. It will help to go read the documentation as to the libraries you can use, how to use those libraries, it could be maybe when you use them enough times, you will remember and you just know what to do. You remember if you have used it before. I know this is what I need to do to get this to play or to pause or to have a playlist, right? Just the more you do something, the more familiar you are with said thing, the less you have to read the documentation. But you need to know how to read documentation, and it will help you learning new languages as well. Because you don't need to, once you know a language like Java, for example, you don't need to worked that hard to know maybe C sharp. C sharp and Java are very, very similar, right? Some other, but as long as you know the general flow of things, you know what a loop is, you know, you can just look at, okay, I need to learn Go. How do I make a loop in Go, for example? You need to know those concepts, and that allows you to learn languages fast because you already know the basics, you know, the loops, arrays, you know, how to handle strings, that kind of, you know what you can do with certain pieces of data, numbers, strings, you know, that kind of thing. So so don't worry about memorizing code. You don't need to memorize code. Just code and learn how to read documentation. Because there is a process reading documentation, the syntax, how, you know, that will get you places. That's all you need to know. Just read the docs.
Thank you so much, Ife. It was really good to have you on the first podcast.
It's been a good.
Yeah,
I've enjoyed that chat. Today.
Lovely. No, I'm glad. And I hope this conversation does help the next, upskillers in tech, and specifically software development as well. But yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.